Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to the videos of the paid request this time for Joseph. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it. PayPal is usually the best bet, or join my Patreon. Links are down in the info box, either there or wherever it went. This is for That Man from Rio, a 1964 film, which I never heard of until I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Good friend of mine, Fabio, the Italian Stallion 51, he reviewed this. I think Joseph sent the request to him as well, then sent it to me. So, the film is a French film that's kind of trying to be a spoof of maybe James Bond, but not quite. It's about a guy who's with the French Air Force, and he's on leave to see his fiancée. As quickly as he lands, his train stops. Something about his fiance's dad and partner found these statues. Something happened to the girl's dad. And then very quickly, the fiancée herself is kidnapped. And then the rest of the film is a chase scene where he steers a motorcycle, he chases after the guy, tries to outwit to get himself on this plane. When the plane lands, he steals his airplane ladder thing, looks around Rio to find the girl. At one point finds the girl, but then something happens, and then the girl gets kidnapped again. And there's races on boats, there's races, foot races amongst these buildings. Again, it's fairly long chase scene. Now, before I get into more details on that, I thought the film was okay. It was alright. And I'm sorry, I'm going to try to pronounce the names of this. I'm going to butcher them. So bear with me. It's directed by Philippe de Broca and stars Jean-Paul Belmondo and Françoise Dorléac. But yeah, Jean-Paul Belmondo. There are stunts that he does that seem fairly decent stunt work. His character, I do like that at times he is fairly smart and he does stuff to outwit the bad guys. To use his brain more than his brawn. Like, for example, he realizes the guy's just shooting these arrows at him. So he pretends he got hit by an arrow and falls. So the bad guy thinks he got him, runs off, and the good guy follows him in order to try to find his fiancée. There's another bit where he's being chased up top of this building. So he makes something fall and he screams. So that when the bad guys come, they heard the scream, they see that something fell, so they think that the guy fell. So while our lead guy hides, the bad guys think the guy's dead, runs off, and then the good guy comes out and follows them. So I do appreciate that aspect. And some of the chase scenes, there's some fun to be had. Not quite slapstick, but like little moments, like when he steals his motorcycle, he happens to still have the cigar in his mouth, and when he's got to get on the plane, he like has his wheelchair guy pretending he's helping the wheelchair guy. Then he pushes the poor wheelchair guy into the bathroom in order to get the hell to the plane as quick as they can. In order to sneak into this building, he uses his old woman carrying her bags. It helps her out, then is able to get by. He does a chop on someone, then hurts his arm. Then like hits the guy in the nuts, which is the right way to go. At one point, he's chased by a boat. We think he's been run over, but a water steer went by and he got to the back of the water steer. This is one bit where he's chasing a car by foot, and this is when they're in Brazil, and some nice wide shots, like some really neat architecture that they showcase of what was happening in Brazil at the time, with the way the buildings were. I don't know how to describe it, the deco of it, but the wide shots where there's like nobody else around, but you have these type of buildings that just look really neat, visually pleasing. And there's stunts like at one point he shimmy his hands are his feet are in a bucket, and there's like two ropes, and he shimmy from one building to the other. So I said there is some decent stunt work in this, and the lead character does have some nice little moments that did make me smirk. I will say though, the lead character, I was kind of indifferent to him. I think because we don't really get to know these characters at all. It's pretty much they're introduced and then boom, quickly we're into this predicament with the fiance, and then the fiance's dad, and the fiance's taken, and then he's chasing after her. So I don't really get a sense between the good guy and the damsel in distress. I don't really get a sense of who they are as characters separately, let alone together. I don't really see much fun, unique banter between the two. Like when I think of other adventure films, even I think of Teen Solomon's Mines with Richard Chamberlain. There's some good stunt work, but there's moments I remember of just Richard Chamberlain's personality coming through. When he busts through the train and all the guns on him, it's like, nice reflexes, nice reflexes. Or it's just the dynamite, hey, I got one. And that's what really makes me remember that character. Indiana Jones. Some of his dialogue, rapport with other people, whether with Karen Allen, trust me. And the way they talk with each other, like when she slaps him. Oh, Dr. Jones. Indiana Jones. Like the whole first meet between Indiana Jones and Karen Allen, you see the way they talk with each other, they converse with each other, you see that they have a history with each other. Before, I didn't really get a sense of that with these characters, so I don't really know who the lead guy is, I really don't know who the damsel in distress is, and because I don't really know them, personality-wise, quirk-wise, or anything, it's hard for me to care. It's not that they were bad, it's just it was hard for me to care about their predicament. And I don't know, the lead guy, I'm not sure if he really did much for me. Like, he was okay, he was like average at best for me, performance-wise. Some of the stuff he would do was okay or kind of funny, but it was nothing that he did that made me go, wow, I need to go see more of this guy's work, if that makes sense. Personally, oh, I gotta go see more of this guy's work. I gotta see what else this guy has done acting-wise. Again, not that it was bad, but it didn't pull me in. And I think the first half, like, at least because it had a pretty fast pace in the first half, I was able to kind of just get pulled into the journey. Where again, it's the motorcycle chase, and then the stuff of the airplane, and then she's drugged up so she doesn't recognize him on the plane, so he's got to wait till the plane lands, and then that ladder thing, he's driving that, and he's being chased, and meets his shoe shine boy, and he has no money, so he polishes the kid's shoes. And then there's this guy, and he polishes the guy's shoes, but the guy doesn't realize that it's white shoes, and he's making it all black. So that was kind of funny. And bad guys are after him. He pretends he's hit by an arrow in order to fool them. And When he rescues her the first time, then the pace really got sluggish. Because from the beginning to that point, while again, I didn't really get to know who the characters were, there's really no build-up of the characters. So it's just, okay, here's a guy, which I get. I mean, there are films I like that don't have the most setup, and I can understand that, to be fair. But the personalities or something else really has to be up to par for me to really, really get into it. While here is just halfway into it where, okay, it's the stuff I'm seeing is filmed well enough. It's not too boring, at least. But then when the movie, she's rescued the first time and the movie stops and we're not on this consistent chase, that's when you realize, at least for me, the issues of the beginning kind of come to the front at this point of the film. That because we didn't have much of a build-up, because we don't really know much of these characters, because we really don't get a sense of who they are, now that the chase is done for a while, it's just not that exciting or that intriguing. It's just, okay, he's rescued her. She's drugged. He's trying to wake her up. They get into the ocean. She still hasn't woken up because she's still drugged. This plot with the 3 statues. I guarantee you no one is going to give a crap what the plot of the film is. Or they're not going to remember, okay, it's 3 statues, it's something about the statues, dealt with her dad and this professor, and something about in the jungle you find treasure. But then even I'm hazy with it because it just seemed like an arbitrary thing they just threw in there. And it just became a very dull plot. The romantic portions of this didn't feel too engaging. The plot of the statues felt a bit dull. It felt like there was a lack of music. Because music can be a very important component. Whether it be James Bond or Indiana Jones or even Teen Solomon's Mines with Jerry Goldsmith's score. They become a very important element. Even when nothing's happening, the music makes it seem as if it's grander or bigger. But because of the lack of music in this, those dull portions in the middle are brought more up prominent. There's some nice locales, I'll give you that. But it's kind of like they're having talks with each other, and I don't think the dialogue they had was that engaging or that interesting. They get to Brazil, they find the professor, they find out the professor is a bad guy. And he kind of just, in this like 20 minutes or more of kind of this purgatory where stuff's happened, but it's not until the girl gets taken again where, okay, now the movie, and this really, like, the movie is only working. And granted, that's why I think the film's okay, because a good chunk of the film is a chase. But it's only when the chase starts is when the movie comes alive again. It's more of this momentum, this forward momentum it has, that at least is somewhat engaging, if not entirely satisfying. Because when the girl gets taken again, he chases her, spoiler alert. Spoilers started now. Should have done that earlier. But he chases her on foot. They're in a car. You have this neat architecture. He goes up a building. He shimmies from one building to the other. He uses his brain. He pushes something and yells. Makes him think he's dead. He steals a plane. I did like the bit where he sneezes. And when he sneezes, he does a barrel roll. Accidentally. Then he's got a parachute down. Then he's almost attacked by, I forget if it was a crocodile or an alligator. And then someone saves him, and they get to a bar. Then all of a sudden this bar fight happens. Does the bar fight have to do with anything in the movie? No. It's just, well, we gotta have a bar fight, so here's a bar fight. They get into, he finds that his girl's in the jungle. And to be honest, the stuff in the jungle wasn't as exciting as the rest of the movie. Pretty much there's a bunch of explosions and he swings and hits someone and the bad guy kind of gets himself killed, but he finds the treasure, but there's these explosions happening and our two leads just make it out of there. But considering all the other pieces of the stunts, like shimmy from one building to the other, or the stuff with the plane, the barrel roll, stuff of that nature, this seemed a bit, not quaint, but not as extravagant as maybe some of the other stuff. Now, to be fair, like I said, I don't think this is a bad film. I think it's okay at the end of the day. Would I ever see the film again? Probably not. But was it worth one watch? Sure. I know Fabio mentioned Indiana Jones. I think that's why I kept thinking of Indiana Jones, because I remember seeing his review and he kept bringing up Indiana Jones. But really, that's the only reason I brought it up. Otherwise, if I had not seen his review first, because I was just curious what he thought of it. And I watched his review actually. Yeah, it was when he posted, because I didn't know I was getting this request for this film. Because I watched my friends. I don't always comment because I leave very boring comments. Good job, great job. Wow, is that all I have to type? Wow, I sound boring as hell. I mean it, but it's like, wow, I don't have nothing better. I don't know, because I'm not the best typer. But anyway, but yeah, I didn't really see Indiana Jones in this. The only reason I kept mentioning is because Fabio mentioned, but take that out of the equation, I don't really see any Indiana Jones in this. Not great, Indiana Jones was after this, but I'm just saying, he mentioned, oh, well, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg must have seen this film. And I'm like, I don't know, I don't really see any parts that are similar, but that's just me. Like I said, it's okay. Like I said, if you watch it, the chase scenes there's some fun quality to it. Like I said, there's some little quirks. I mentioned like when he's on a motorcycle, he's got the cigar in his mouth the whole time, or when he steals a plane, he sneezes, he does a barrel roll, things of that nature. There's some fun to be had in those scenes. Like I said, because the plot of the statues are pretty dull and forgettable. Sometimes I'm like wondering, what's this all about? Like, what happened to her dad, and what's going on? Bit hazy, because it was more about the chase and less about the actual plot. Like I said, the characters I don't think are that dynamic or that memorable of characters in terms of, again, personalities or dialogue or one-liners or banter, rapport. The romance, I didn't feel a whole lot of chemistry, like engagement as a romance bit of the film. The lack of music, so there's not much to talk about music-wise. You don't really get a sense of who the characters are at the beginning of the film. So I'm like, do I really care about the characters? It's more about the chase scenes and just the variety by foot, boat. Granted, it's nothing on the scale of a James Bond, Indiana Jones, those type of films. Scale-wise, it's definitely smaller, but you could get some fun out of it, and I did. But again, I would never see the film again, so I thought it was okay. It was all right. Maybe maybe a 3 out of 5 stars, probably. Yeah, probably like 3 out of 5 star type of thing. But not bad. But again, never see it again. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.